What's up, guys? We're back at this property over here in Houston. It is finally under contract. It took about 22, 23 days on the market. And what I want to do for you guys is to break down each stage of how to calculate the profit on a flip. Super important before you get into a deal to be able to analyze every single way that you could make money and hopefully not lose money. So stay tuned to the end of the video. I'm going to use a calculator to kind of break down each stage of the entire process. And if you want this calculator completely free of charge, drop your email below and we'll send that right over to you. But first, let's do a quick tour of this property that is now under contract. Well, if you're new to the channel, this is what we do. We break down deals, we interview investors, we walk investment properties, we do start to finish for new investors. So glad to have you here. Glad that you're watching. On this video, really, we're just breaking down the best way to estimate your net profit before you get into the deal. And really the best way to do that is to break this down into 3 phases. The first one is your cash at closing. The second one is your holding cost. And the third being what it's costing you when you sell the property. Now, there's a simple formula that you can use to make things really easy, and it's your cash back when you sell the property minus your cash to close and also minus your holding cost. That's going to give you your net, right? Because that's how much true money you're putting into your pocket. It's not how much you make to the sell, because you still need to account for what you spent when you bought it and what you spent with your holding costs. So as you'll see here, this is the first step. Plug your numbers into the cash to close calculator. You'll see here on www.sparklending.com all you need for the cash to close calculator to figure out your net, and really also to figure out your debt coverage, is you'll need the ARV of the property, and you'll need a rough estimate for how much it's going to cost to rehab the property. Now, different lenders have different different terms and what they'll leverage at. And here at Spark we do 70% LTV, but lenders across the country have different ways that they'll leverage it. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to make less money, right? It means that you're going to they're not going to be covering as much of the loan. So your payoff when you sell the house is going to be less, and you'll get more back at closing. So it really all depends on how good of a deal you buy and at what percentage of the deal you buy. But the first step is figure out your cash to close. Then after you have your cash to close, figure out how much it's going to cost you to hold on to this property for the lifetime of the loan, right? That's the second phase. That's the holding cost. Now what you're going to do is you are going to estimate, obviously with your ARV, and what it's going to cost you when you sell the property. So your agent fees, your title policy, your escrow fees, everything that goes along with the cost of selling a house. And then you'll be able to estimate how much you can get back once you do sell it at your anticipated price point. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my cash at closing and I'm going to subtract the cash when I bought the property and my holding cost, and that's going to give me my net profit. So use these calculators and you're going to see how easy of a process it is. And we're going to break down this deal that we just walked a minute ago and kind of estimate what we thought the profit would be and what we're going to get at that 270 price. All right, guys, so you saw the numbers on the video. I'm going to go ahead and plug those in here. We know that the property is under contract for $270,000. We know the rehab budget was $25,500, and we know we bought it for $165,000. Now, this was one of our loans, so we did it at 70% loan to value. These are some different scenarios. So once you find your lender in your market, they're going to be able to tell you what they're loaning at, right? Are they doing loan to value or are they doing loan to cost? And it's a great tool just to start reaching out to lenders and ask them, what their criteria is and what their leverage is and kind of what their loan terms look like. But yeah, so we're going to run this one off 70%. I've plugged the numbers in. We had $11,000 cash at closing, and we had a monthly interest-only payment at 12%, totaling $1,890. Right. So now I know these numbers. Right. Let's say this property is not under contract. I'm evaluating the deal. Well, I've run my comps. I know I think I can sell it for $270, and the GC is giving me a bid for $25,500, and my seller is asking for $165. Okay, so I'm just going to evaluate that using this calculator here, and I'm going to plug these numbers in. So I've put in $270,000 for the ARV, $165 for the purchase. Let's move this down to $25,500. And then my total loan, this is where you need a little bit of manual input. You're going to have to put 70% or 75 or whatever your total loan is going to be. You can do it off that cash to close calculator, right? So I know my loan here is $189,000, but if I was doing loan to cost, it would be $157. Kind of going down the line. So let's stick it 70%. So you're using these two tools in tandem, and my loan is $189,000. Okay, here you can change your points, right? 2 points, 3 points, whatever you're doing, and here you can change your interest rate and also how long it took you to sell the property. Okay, so this one took us roughly 4 months. I'm going to come down here and put 4 months. And let me just kind of break down these costs for you in the calculator. You have your purchase cost on this first one, so it's your your points, your insurance you had to add to closing. You had an appraisal, survey, everything that can go in purchase costs. Now, if you don't have any of these or they change, you can just go in there and supplement them out. Then my holding cost, obviously the big one is the monthly interest payments, and we're at 4 months. The taxes, if you had to pay outside. Now, some of the taxes is going to be, paid when you bought it or paid when you sell it, but we went ahead and, put it in there just in case. Utilities, so your lights, your water, your gas for those months. And then what it costs to sell it, right? A lot of people miss this out when they're calculating. If you do not have an agent, and you might have to pay 6% to your agent or 3%, total, or you can come down here and like us, we have our licenses, so we're just going to mark it at 3%. We don't have to pay a buyer's agent. And then you're, just assuming that you have to pay the title policy on the backside, your escrow fee, any miscellaneous fees. So this cash at purchase here, according to these terms, should roughly match what we have here, right? So right around $11,000. I think it's the survey here is not accounted for in the cash to close calculator. And my holding cost is $8,310. Okay, so when I close the property at the title company, I'm actually walking away with a check for $69,250. But we're trying to estimate the net, right? So again, refer to it's the cash at sell. So what I'm getting back at closing. Then I minus my purchase cost. So what I brought to the table. So 11,000. Right? And then I need to also deduct my holding cost. So the 4 months, the 8,000 here. So as you'll see, it's a pretty easy to use formula by just putting in your details here. You're using it in tandem with the cash to close calculator just to see what your loan value is, the total loan amount according to the leverage that your lender has. You're plugging it all in. This is going to give you a good estimation of your net. Well, then really it's down to you if you believe it's a good return on investment, right? So my total cash out of pocket is the purchase cost and the holding cost. So my total out of pocket for this loan is just under $20,000, but I'm making $49,000, right? So I'm getting my cash back. I'm getting $69,000, but I've truly made my net is $49,507. Roughly here. Now, obviously, this doesn't account for any, taxes that you're going to pay on that estimated net. We're just working out the net. We're not saying we're a CPA and saying you don't have to pay taxes on this, but this is what your net profit is.